So there's a very high chance that if you're a self-taught drummer, you're making one of these mistakes I'm going to be talking about in this video. I know I'm not here to rub your mistakes on your face, but I'm here to draw your attention to some of these things and to prefer solutions to every one of these mistakes. I've been a professional drum teacher for the past few years, and I can tell you very confidently that most of these mistakes are made by self-taught drummers, particularly the last one I'm going to be covering in today's video. And even if you're not a self-taught drummer, please pay close attention because you might have some of these problems also. The first issue that most self-taught drummers have is stressing over things that should be very easy because of lack of knowledge of proper technique. So quickly, I'll give you an example of how this affects their playing. I'll play a groove now, and you see the differences with using the wrong technique and how it makes me stress, and using the right technique. So I don't know if you saw what I did there. One issue you find a lot with self-taught drummers, and lots of drummers make this mistake generally, is stressing the left hand to go over instead of passing it under here. You see the way I played? Instead of taking my left hand to keep doing, I was just passing it under and it was still getting to the hi-hat. So as small as this thing is, it can really, really slow you down, because if we're to try to speed up this groove, let's play something fast. Imagine I have to take my hand over. See how it's going to look like. That's a lot of stress. And there's also this groove I love to play a lot, where you can see that this thing is applicable. You see, so if you're to play something like this with taking your hands over, how are you going to do it? I don't even know how I'm going to try that now. You see, so it's going to take you a while to actually get used to it, but try to master letting your left hand go under. It helps you a lot. So still under this category of stressing too much, one issue I've noticed a lot is the issue of either gripping too tightly or gripping too loosely. One thing most people don't know is there is no particular way to hold the stick. I have a particular theory that whenever you are playing grooves, you are locking your grooves. Your sticks are going to be held more firmly than when you are playing, solos and getting expressive. You get? So I will show you an example right now. When I'm playing in normal groove and I don't want my sticks to be flying out of my hands, I'm going to hold my sticks a little bit firmly. But if I was to start doing some quick movements around the kit, playing with my rudiments, I want you to take a close look at my fingers. You'll notice I'm not going to hold my sticks as firmly as I was holding it when I was playing the grooves. So watch. So if you notice very carefully, whenever I was doing crazy stuffs, I had to let, when you want to play fast most times, you loosen up. When you want to play your grooves and you lock up, you hold it like this. Because if you hold your sticks too firmly when you're trying to play fast stuffs, you would most likely get stuck. You'll be stressing your wrist too much. You get? So know when to use your wrist, know when to use your fingers. So this is a mistake I see a lot of self-taught drummers making, and I feel like it needs to be corrected. So spend time with these things, practice them a lot. When you're playing grooves, hold a little bit firmer. When you're playing your rudiments and chops and all that, hold a little bit, loosely. Your grip should be a little bit loose. So the second mistake that a lot of self-taught drummers make, and this is a mistake that doesn't just happen to self-taught drummers, it happens to lots of drummers generally and musicians, is not recording or filming yourself. And I'd love to classify the both of them differently. That is recording yourself audio-wise and filming yourself video-wise. And I'll hear a lot of advices on YouTube, and I'm sure you must have seen it. People tell you practice in front of a mirror and all of that. That's good. But one reason why I choose video over practicing in front of a mirror is because when there's a mirror in front of you, you tend to get distracted and start looking at the mirror. Do you understand? You have something you want to work on. You know what video does is it works on getting your posture right. You get your posture, your technique. There are times when I was playing earlier in my career and I used to play like someone that had the hunchback. I always sit like this. So if not for something like video, I would never have known. You get. So be it, even if you play another instrument and you're just watching this video by any means, make videos of yourself. Check and see your facial expressions, your hand, just everything you want to see about how you look, posture-wise, comfortability and everything. Video fixes that. And if you have a mirror in front of you many times, your mirror is only going to just distract you. Because if you're working on something, you'll be distracted from what you're working on and checking your posture. But when you have a video, you play. When you finish playing, you can now check and see your posture. Now, recording still does what video does, but in this way, you're not looking at your appearance. You know, lots of drummers have this thing where when they're recording or when they're playing, they think they sound like Lionel Lewis or Chris Coleman. But if they were to record you when you're done, you know, what you ordered versus what you got. So that's what happens to a lot of drummers. I'm not shading anybody, but please try to record yourself more often. And when you do that, you'll be able to figure out mistakes. You'll be able to figure out things you can actually do better. So the next mistake that happens with a lot of self-taught drummers is the absence of a structured practice routine and some bad habits that go on during practice. And I talk about this one a lot because this affects, to me, I feel like it affects more than 90% of musicians. You get into the practice room and you don't have a plan. You just want to go and play the instrument. In as much as those things helps you grow, your growth is nothing compared to the kind of growth you have when you come in and you have a plan. I'm not speaking randomly, I'm speaking from experience. I've had times where I tried to have a practice routine the first time in, I think, 2020. And I discovered that every time I got into the practice room, I had a list of things I was going to do. So even if I had just 30 minutes to practice, I worked on the things I should work on. But do you know when you're having fun and just playing whatever you feel like playing, you might spend 30 minutes without achieving anything. You just keep playing the same thing over and over and over. And this is a very big issue that musicians have. So be able to distinguish when you're having fun. Trust me, there are times where you should have fun. But when you want to actually grow, you should be practicing more than you're having fun. Do you get? And there's also a bad habit that happens during practice that most musicians are guilty of, particularly the ones that are still, upcoming. This habit of speeding things up a lot. I teach students privately, and this is something I always try to, I keep emphasizing on it. I show you something, or you watch a video of a drummer doing something online, and the drummer is playing it crazy fast and all of that. And because you see that, you try it slowly, and then it seems like you can try it, you start playing it fast. You end up being a very sloppy drummer. There are many drummers out there that are supposed to be pro levels, but when they play their chops, it's very sloppy. What caused it? Their foundation is very, very shallow. So whenever you get a lick or a chop or anything, that you can play it slow and you can play it fast does not mean you should just start moving faster and faster. There are points you should get to, then you just stay slow. I've heard some of the very top drummers we respect a lot say that they play grooves at 40. I've heard Calvin Rogers, I think, say he plays at 40 BPM. Playing a groove at 40, 60 feels too slow. So imagine playing at 40. So start off things very slowly before you try to speed them up. It's really, really going to help you have, dexterity. When someone slows down your chops to, break it down and get clarity on what you're doing, it is very distinct. Do you understand? Now, this particular mistake, or should I call it an issue that I've noticed with self-taught drummers, just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm very honest. And this is ignoring the rudiments. I have met a lot of drummers over my course of being a drummer, and I will tell you something. A lot of drummers that feel like they're naturally gifted just seem to ignore the rudiments. They play well. But whenever you talk about rudiments, you're surprised that some people don't know what a paradiddle is. They don't know what the six-stroke row is. They feel like because they can, they started playing and they didn't hear all those things and then they can just keep going that way. It's nice that you grew up that way, but what is not nice is that you stay that way. I've tested the two sides. There were times I didn't know anything about rudiments, and I now know a lot about rudiments. And I'll tell you that there's so many things that you might be struggling to, get, and you're not getting it. But if you understand it, it is as easy as ABC. Let me give you guys an instance. We have this simple thing. If a drummer is playing something like this, If you don't know about rudiments, when you hear that, the first thing that will come to your mind is, what is that crazy stuff? But there's an amount of time you spend with rudiments, and when you hear certain patterns, they sound like something. If you're a drummer that understands rudiments and everything very well, and your ears are already attuned to rudiments, you know that what I played now sounded like an inverted paradiddle. Yes, an inverted paradiddle normally should be. But because here it's being substituted and, I've done some replacements, it now sounds as. So I meet a lot of drummers that always ask me, how are you able to break down things? And if I tell you the honest truth, most times, is knowledge of rudiments. Whenever I break down people's stuff, even sometimes people I'm breaking down don't even know that they applied the rudiments. But because of my knowledge of it, I'm able to tell, and it makes work easier for me. If you are ignoring the rudiments, you're doing yourself a lot of damage. You don't need to learn the 40 rudiments. Trust me. All you need is 10. I say 10 because there are just a few of them that if you have them, you are okay. The rest of them, you can know them, but you won't be applying them. And also, there's something I want to say to self-taught drummers or to people that identify as self-taught drummers out there. I have this opinion, and I know a lot of you might not agree with it, but I do not think there's anything at self-taught drummer or self-taught musician. I don't think there's anything like that. Here's the thing. If you've watched a video from somebody teaching anything online, or you've gone for any class or any, you don't even need to attend a school or anything. As far as you've watched somebody and the person inspired you, even if it was not a drum lesson or anything, you're not self-taught. Your knowledge is accumulation of so many, knowledges. I know you want to classify yourself differently from the people that went to school for it, but then the truth still remains, nobody's self-taught. To me, I know some of you might disagree, but then it's fine. Self-taught doesn't exist. You understand? You're learning from different people. And also, some people use the fact that they're self-taught and try to uphold that identity as a self-taught person. And when there are classes or there are events where they should go, master classes and all of that, they don't go because they want to keep practicing by themselves and make sure that they can come out and say, oh, I was self-taught, nobody taught me, and all of that. I feel like that's a bad thing to do for yourself as a musician. So that was just by the way. I hope if you watch this video, you're able to pick out a few things from the things I said and all the mistakes I pointed out. Work on those things and you see how your play is really, really going to level up. See you guys in the very next video. Peace.